bleaching is happening more often, as climate change raises the temperature of oceans, which have absorbed more than 90% of the heat created by man-made greenhouse gas emissions.
Coral reefs are the backbone for the entire ocean. They are the nursery for the ocean. About a quarter of all marine life in the ocean spends part of its life cycle on a coral reef. And there are about 1 billion or so people that depend on coral reefs for fish, for their food, for about the cycle that's going on right now. In 2016, we lost 29% of the Great Barrier Reef. So 29% of the Great Barrier Reef died in a single year because the water was hot.
Hello, this is Professor MihriOzkan. I am the Climate Action Champion Professor of University of California. I hope you will find these videos informative. Thank you for watching my video. Do you think climate change is real?
It's real?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I think it's real.
I do.
Why do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Oh yes, very so, very much so.
Why do you think so?
Yeah, well, you feel it in all everything. You see it, for instance, in Sweden. We have no snow anymore. No ice anymore. So it's warm. Earlier we had ice and snow, and we don't have that today. And that is a climate problem.
Well, I've been on this earth more than 70 years now, and I remember winters and I remember snow, and this doesn't happen anymore.
Because I'm a farmer and I see changes happening so rapidly and so almost violent changes.
I believe it's real because it's both, I think, a natural phenomenon, and also I do think it's people have also contributed to it.
Because of everything I've read and what I see happening all over the world. I mean, the polar caps are melting, the hurricanes are getting worse, everything is changing.
I'm an engineer, been an engineer for a long time, so yeah, I get used to assessing facts. You know, it's printed as facts, but even, you know, I mean, I even am a doubting Thomas, you know, to be a good engineer. So I think enough has been said that the naysayers, you have to admit they've been disproven, whether they do or not. The facts are pretty clear, an overwhelming number, and I've paid attention to the Gore video and other things to pick up enough facts to say, okay, this seems substantiated to me.
Because it always changes.
Because all the icebergs are melting, and we have had the warmest temperatures, I think, in the last 20 years. 19 of the last 20 years have been the warmest temperatures ever.
I think that the Earth naturally goes through cycles of warming and cooling, and we've probably, as humans, exacerbated that somewhat, but I think that a lot of it is a natural cycle.
I've seen a lot of changes just in my lifetime alone. I've seen a lot of changes where it's getting much colder and much hotter. Colder in the winter, hotter in the summer. Much more storms and fires. It's just quite obvious, and you know, we're in a path to destruction. It should be the #1 concern of humanity now, and it just seems to be swept under the rug. But it's at a critical point.
What should we do about it?
We have to reduce the pollution.
How?
Absolutely. Yeah. Now I think things changed, yeah, because cars and things like that, the normal engines will disappear. So it will be everything electrical. That will help. And even the factories must be forced to reduce that what they push into the air?
Well, first the government has to recognize it, and then they have to do what the scientists recommended to do to try to change it. We have to stop using fossil fuel. We have to use renewable energy as much as possible. And we have to educate people to realize that this is going to destroy the whole planet if we don't do something soon. It may already be too late, but we have to do something.
We have much work to do. We need to look at every single thing we do and make sure it has no effect on our world. And we aren't. We're just the whole thing with gas and oil and plastics. We need to pull back and look at everything we do.
I'm not sure that we can do anything about it.
Everyone individually should be responsible for not only protecting our environment, but also just take the responsibility as an individual. We can't always rely on companies and government, but we certainly can do our part. We can keep our...
I think that you have to moderate your desire for climate change with the realities of the world and how it functions today, and there's only so much that's within your control. Recycling is great. I think it's a great thing to do. I think that the political spectrum today has fostered a lot of things at both ends that are so far beyond ludicrous as to be unbelievable, like Mayor de Blasio in Manhattan saying that all glass and steel buildings need to be retrofitted so they won't reflect sun. That is so mind-numbingly ridiculous that it's unbelievable. So there's a happy medium someplace.
Well, I think what science seems to say is that carbon emissions are a problem, so to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and to use more renewable energy like solar and wind, and for that matter, using more renewable energy like solar and wind makes sense whether climate change is happening or not, because why shouldn't we use renewable resources rather than resources that aren't sustainable?
And I'm so glad I saw the Earth when it was much nicer.
Well, what I see is that we have only an issue in creating baseline energy. Solar and wind will come in. The folks at Texas don't care anymore. They make money however they can. In other words, they put in wind, they put in solar, they raise cattle, and they'll do oil too. But I think oil will disappear just because it won't be as good or as convenient as electricity eventually in the infrastructure. It'll make more sense for climate change. And then the last thing, which is important, Generation 3 and Generation 4 nuclear energy really does circumvent most of the negative aspects of nuclear energy. I know it's not perfected, but pretty damn close.